Are you familiar with the television program, What Would You Do? It comes on ABC, and the host observes people on hidden cameras to see exactly how they would handle adverse situations. I really enjoy the show because, of course, I think that if I was in whatever the situation is, that I'd handle it properly. Until a couple weeks ago. As I was taking out the trash, before I got in my car to go to work one morning, I witnessed a man asleep on the ground in front of my neighbor's garage. And what did I do? I went and sat in my car and called my neighbor to let him know. And when he didn't answer his home phone, I tried to reach him on his cell phone. If I was being observed on hidden camera, I don't think I looked very good. Sitting in my garage, desperate to get in touch with my neighbor like it was some bad person trying to break into his garage or something. In retrospect, I should have called out maybe to see if he was okay or see if he needed help because maybe he was hurt. I don't know, but I don't think I handled it very well. I don't think I was very hospitable. As we start talking about radical hospitality here at St. Columbanus Church, it makes me think more about how I act when I encounter someone or some situation. How do I accompany people in difficult or even in good times? What witness do I provide as I encounter and accompany them? As Brother Mark talked about in our first video on radical hospitality, he told us that hospitality is a sacred duty, and that hospitality is not an optional extra, but it is part of our duty to evangelize, as all the baptized are called to do. If you witness good, maybe you will do good. The Apostle Paul tells us in Romans chapter 12, verse 13, when God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. What Paul is talking about in this chapter is love in action and what it looks like to follow Jesus' teachings. The entire chapter is pretty much like guidelines for how we should be every day of our lives. Earlier verses include directives like, don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Hate what is wrong, hold tightly to what is good. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Be happy with those who are happy. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Never pay back evil with more evil. So, what would you do? Here at St. Columbanus, we are back to having our parishioners at Mass again after Illinois' stay-at-home restrictions have eased some. But we must still be socially distant and have parishioners sit in every other pew in church as we continue to deal with COVID-19. After you've been seated by our greeter in your socially distant seat, someone comes and sits right next to you. What would you do? Would you hop out of your seat and immediately move away from that person? Or would you direct them to the right seat, somewhere 6 feet away? Directing them to their seat would probably be the more hospitable thing to do. We all have the power to be radically hospitable. In Father Matt's homily from July 19th, he talked about 1 Peter chapter 4, which says, be hospitable to one another without complaining, and love one another intensely. If we would love each other intensely, we would instantly be hospitable towards one another without having to think, what should I do? Father Matt also talked about being committed to radical hospitality because Jesus was always radically hospitable. He gave the example of the Samaritan woman at the well from John chapter 4. The website Bible Gateway says that there are 8,447 examples of hospitality mentioned in the Bible. Lot entertains visitors from God in the book of Genesis. Manoah receives the angel of the Lord in Judges chapter 13. Jesus with the disciples in Emmaus in Luke chapter 24. I could go on, but you get the point. If not, refer to the books that I just mentioned so you can get a reminder of who we are called to be. In the Gospel of Matthew, specifically chapter 25, verses 34 through 36, Jesus discusses the hospitable behavior of those who will inherit the kingdom. It says, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed of my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.'" Here, Jesus is talking about giving service to our neighbor and practicing hospitality, radical hospitality. This weekend, Father Matt told us about the term coined by Pope Francis, culture of encounter. Cardinal Francis George explained what Pope Francis's culture of encounter means in an interview in the Chicago Tribune back in 2013. He said, "Pope Francis wants bishops to be part of the culture of encounter, encountering Christ and therefore encountering those that Christ loves." What a great way to think of hospitality, encountering Christ and therefore encountering those that Christ loves. The next time you encounter someone in need, what would you do?